Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music, and this week I got obsessed with odd time signatures. So this week's shorts are all about odd time signatures, and I think by far the most famous one is from Take Five, Paul Desmond, Dave Brubeck's jazz song in 5/4. I want to look at Take Five today. We'll talk a little bit about the time signature, how to handle grouping in odd time signatures, and I also want to talk a little bit about the sort of harmonic language and the musical language, the tonal language, melodic language of the tune. It's a classic, and for a lot of people, it's their introduction to playing in odd time signatures. So let's take a look at it today. An odd time signature is any time signature that can't be conveniently grouped into 2's or 3's. So 4/4, for instance, 4 beats in a measure, is easily grouped symmetrically 2 and 2. 3/4 is just one group of 3. And there are things that sort of branch outwards from there, right? 9/8 is an interesting example because it could be 3 3's or it could be weirdly 2 2 2 3. I think grouping in 2's and 3's is a really important idea. I'll show you what I mean. I think I can turn a metronome on here. So that metronome is a solid, steady pulse, right? And if I group it in 2's, I get something really easy like this. And this feels really kind of natural and easy for us, doesn't it? But what if I think about it in a different way? What if I group it like this? 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. Well, that's what we're going to try to do with Take Five. Listen, I've got the chart for it up here, and if you don't read music, don't worry, because we're going to be looking at it also on the keyboard and talking about it in very, very general terms. But the chart says we're in the key of, I guess we'd have to say, E flat minor or G flat major. You can see there's 6 flats. What that means for us as keyboard players is there's a lot of black keys, which is not the worst thing in the world. And maybe a little bit hard to think about chords, though. So we're going to take a look at it in the key of E minor as well in a second. But take a look at the way it's mensurated, the way it's the time signature and the bar lines are set up. It says it's 5/4, 5 beats in a measure, a quarter note gets 1 beat. There's a pickup that is 1 2 beats, 1 2. And then we're off into this interesting sort of rhythmic pattern. And of course, I think if you know the tune or you've heard it, and I should play it, I guess, just so you get a sense of what it's like, there's this basic propulsive rhythm that happens again and again. Do you know this tune? Right? So that rhythm in the left hand, and it's in the drums and the bass, is 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. The pickup is on the group of 2. In other words, counts 4 and 5. It's a great rhythm. And the melody itself is kind of a blues melody. Look at the keyboard. It really outlines the minor blues scale. 5, 1, minor 3, 4, raised 4, 5. Very bluesy. Desmond was a sax player, and I think that it just feels really kind of natural, kind of a pentatonic melody, isn't it? And the harmonic underpinning if you listen to the piano part, is just really simple and repetitive and quite strong that way. Now, as you begin to understand odd time signatures, you've got to really drill that sense of grouping. And I think if you drill a sense of grouping, what you've got to do is not count to 5, but count groups of 3 and 2. So if I'm going to count this, I'm going to go 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and 3, 4, again and again. And I may not comfortably be able to solo over that the first month that I'm working on it. I might just be able to work the melody and just come back to this pattern, right? Come back to the pattern in the left hand. Come back to the pattern in the guitar. Come back to counting the groups of 3s and 2s. Very slowly, it will internalize. Culturally, here in the States and in European music, sort of like history, we haven't got a lot of odd time signatures. There are places in the world where it's much more common. My buddy Ravid Kahelani from the band Yemen Blues works routinely in odd time signatures. So when I hang out with them and when I jam with him, it's always these kind of like groups of 2s and 3s, and it's very, very natural to him and the guys and gals that he plays with. It just comes out of his Yemeni sort of Jewish Yemeni cultural tradition. It's very straightforward for him. He can play in 7 without thinking twice about it. I have to count my little brain right out of my head. Listen, I want to go forward into the bridge, because the bridge is an interesting world in this. Now, let's take a look at it. The bridge begins right here. And irritatingly, you can see the first chord is C flat major. And why is it C flat major? Well, it's because if I'm in the key of E flat minor, and that's sort of that's the key that the real book has this tune in, then it's the relative minor of G flat major. And for this tune, we're going to go to the major. We're going to go to G flat major for the bridge. So let me spell these notes for you. G flat, A flat, B flat. So I have a G, an A, and a B. So that must be a C. So it must be C flat, D flat, E flat, F, and G flat. Everything's flat. There's 6 flats except for the F, the leading tone. And so this chord is C flat major 7. And I think it might be a little confusing. So let's take a look at what this bridge looks like in the key of G. I've taken it up to the key of G. And so the first chord is a C chord. We would have been in E minor, like so. The melody, right, in E instead of E flat. But here, I think it's going to be a lot easier to look at these chord progressions. And we've been talking about the harmonic highway, and this is just a beautiful example of the harmonic highway. Here, the C chord, the 4 chord in G, gives way to F sharp half diminished, to B minor, to E minor 7, to A minor, to D, to G. Well, that's a great example of the harmonic highway, and I'll show you what I mean. C is the 5 of F, but we're in the key of G, so it's not F, it's F sharp, right? So F sharp half diminished is the 5 of a B. In this case, it's B minor 7, which is the 5 of E. In this case, it's E minor 7, which is the 5 of A minor 7, which is the 5 of D, which is the 5 of G. G is the 5 of C. Easier to picture that in the key of G. But if we go back now and look at it in the key of G flat, I think maybe it'll be a little bit easier to comprehend. Okay, so here's the same thing back in G flat. And that first C flat major chord is the 5 of F flat. But of course, we're in G flat. So it's F. F is the 5 of B flat, which is the 5 of E flat, which is the 5 of A flat, which is the 5 of D flat, which is the 5 of G flat. It's a major circle of fifths within the key signature of G. It's a major harmonic highway in the relative major of E flat minor. It's a great study tune. Well, let me leave you with one last sort of trick, which is that you can take any 4/4 measure and think of it as 8 eighth notes. And 8 can be divided 3, 3, 2. 3, 3, and 2 adds up to 8. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 is the New Orleans second line rhythm. Well, odd time signatures aren't just for jazz or fusion, aggressive metal, high-speed stuff. They can really add a nice element to contemplative music as well, and I use them a lot in my own work. Do you guys use odd time signatures? It can be hard for singers to sort of keep up and manage, but almost any singer will eventually come around to understanding it. These are kinds of things that need to be really, I'll just say, internalized to sort of bring it into your body before it starts to feel like comfortable. And so it's just the kind of thing that you got to practice. I'll just say that. Hey, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe, ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos. I'll see you next time.